accidentally slid the 9/11 image in there.
Khalif was okayed by Olympic authorities to compete. And apparently today it was a very one-sided fight with Italian Angela Carini, also 25. After just 46 seconds and several sharp punches to the head, including the nose by Khalif, Carini abandoned the fight, threw her helmet to the floor, stormed off the boxing ring, and in fact went on to say that she had never felt such strong blows in a contest before. Now, Algerian Khalif has competed for several years in other international tournaments, including the Olympics, but was banned last year due to, according to officials, elevated levels of testosterone. Algerian sports officials have called the charges against Khalif baseless, but others have raised concerns.
This isn't even that person. What is happening? This isn't even Khalif. They're just like showing a... Dude, this reporting does not even like... This reporting is basically just straight up like what I suspect from like a psychotic, transphobic, like right-wing YouTube page. Okay? Like that's crazy. Like, they don't even give a fuck.
Concerns about the health of opposing athletes when, according to one, a man fights a woman. And Khalif is not the only one getting attention. Taiwan boxer Lin Yu Ting is competing in the Olympics, including a fight tomorrow, and has also been deemed a biological male, according to the International Boxing Association. In a statement.
Yeah, there's a reason why it's not, this is not IBA standards, okay? Like... And it's not because of woke. It's not because of woke gender. Like, the IOC is not using IBA standards, okay? What the fuck? What is happening?
And the IBA said in part, this test conclusively indicated that both athletes did not meet necessary eligibility criteria and were found to have competitive advantages over other female competitors. One more quote from the defeated Italian. Boxing is a sport that teaches you to have respect for the opponent. It cannot and must not become an abuse. Back to you, Bill.
What a story. I think it's quite a moment in this whole campaign, whether it's here or overseas. Greg, thank you for that in London. We got more on this now, Dana.
Want to bring in Clarissa Shields. She's a professional boxer and a two-time Olympic gold medalist. It's great to have you. And her necklace there says, "Quote was the greatest woman of all time." It is really good to have you here. You've competed in 2 Olympics. This, you told us in the break, was not an issue when you were in the Olympics. And there's the medals. What do you think about all of this?
Well, my first Olympics, I was 17 years old. So I hadn't even fully developed as a woman. So I couldn't imagine getting inside the ring with the biological man. I mean, even though I spar against the men, but fighting for the Olympics is way bigger than that. It's so much more on the line. So to have to go in there with the opposite gender when, look, women fight against women, men fight against men. So I don't even see how the Olympics done something like this.
You know, I watched this video earlier today, Clarissa. Have you seen it, of the Italian boxer saying, "I'm out"? Have you seen the video yet?
I've seen it.
I mean, she really looked scared to me. What did you think?
You know, I grew up in a gym sparring against a lot of guys and stuff, but every fighter, woman fighter, does not do that. So, so the power to her did seem like it was much bigger and much stronger, and it did scare her, you know. And I don't know how old she is, but it's still like when you're born, and man, you're already born with the bigger muscles and a bigger neck, and you've grown up to be a man. You know, you didn't change genders when you was a kid, so. It's, to me, it's just unfair, and I just can't believe that it's being done, and I just couldn't.
That's crazy that she literally gave a fucking she gave the exact opposite quote to the New York Times. Like, none of what she is saying happened. None of what she is saying happened in this situation. They're just making all this shit up. Will there be any fucking corrections on this? Probably not. There's no other world where like the natural genetic advantages that one person has over the other is considered to be inappropriate. That's what makes sports great. Okay? Look at the ticker. No indication that Khalif or Lynn identify as transgender or intersex.
Imagine it happening to me.
There's not that many women who are willing to stand up and say this is wrong.
One of the craziest parts about this is like being a black woman who's a dominant athlete, not realizing that like black women who are dominant athletes are the first to be transvestigated, like historically, including Serena Williams, but like not limited to just Serena Williams either. So like they will call you a man soon too when your fucking highlight reel comes out, okay? And is like recirculating. This is what a lot of women who are engaging in this kind of fucking transphobia don't understand. They don't get it. People don't understand it. They're doing it to Simone Biles right now. They're doing it to Katie Ledecky. Iman Khalif, Duti Chan, Caster Semenya, Anit Nageza. Anyone noticing a common thread among female athletes who have been falsely subjected to transphobic attacks and allegations? Yeah, the Katie Ledecky one is the unique one because she's a white blonde woman. But yeah, usually it's just women of color that get fucking transvestigated aggressively. I mean, this is such a bad take. What is a bad take? It's not a bad take at all. This is very common. People do this shit. People do this shit to female athletes of color so much. Okay? They do this to female athletes of color non-fucking stop. I don't know what you already said, but Karina shouted, it's not fair, it's not fair. Then when all the mess started, her coach said that she had a problem with her teeth. Many people in Italy thought she wanted a spot in the Maloney government, but who knows? Yeah, it's just racism and misogyny. It's fucking lame as hell.
I admire you for doing so. Do you think the Olympics will have a change of heart here? I mean, if you see her, that young woman from Italy, she worked just as hard as anybody else to get to the Olympics, and her dream was dashed in 46 seconds because of him.
It is very hard to qualify for the Olympics. You have to go through
Yo, this shit is gross, man. You're a fucking freak. You're a fucking disgusting freak piece of shit.
So many different.
You're like deliberately misgendering. Crowder closed. The male stole Angela Carini's Olympic dream and her promise to her late father. I mean, I don't want to watch this fucking washed up loser, dude. Bro, she tapped out in 45 seconds and we're still having this conversation. Once again, I want to point out that they are doing this to everybody. They're doing this to Katie Ledecky. They're doing this to they're doing this transvestigation to the American rugby player. Jake Paul, this is sickening. This is a travesty. It doesn't matter what you believe. This is wrong and dangerous. Yeah, you're right, man. 96,000 likes. This is her a few hours ago. She seems to have done a lot of talking. Yeah, Algerian boxer was born a woman. Iman is a woman. She has hyperandrogenism, a condition characterized by abnormally high androgen levels in the blood, leading to elevated testosterone in the presence of XY chromosomes. This is a natural disorder. I don't even know that we know that, by the way. Like, we don't even know if that's the case. That's what the suspicion is. Did you see the whole fight? I don't mean to be disrespectful to the other Italian lady, but she's just genuinely ass at boxing. She dropped her guard and took on punches that I don't think amateur boxers would even take. Here, I'll watch the 45. Well, Eurosport's unavailable in my region. Imagine being from a rural region of fucking Algeria, okay? And like working your whole goddamn life, getting fucking 9 knockouts. Like you've lost 9 fights. I think that not all 9 of them were KOs. You finally fucking get to this situation where you're like dominant, competing at the fucking global stage, and you beat your opponent in 45 seconds because she can't keep her hands up, breaks her fucking nose, and quits 45 seconds in. And then the entire world's like, sorry, you're too fucking brolic. So I don't think you're a woman. I think you have a penis. I'm going to imagine that you have a penis. And literally everyone's like, hey, here's our united statement, joint Paris 2024 boxing unit IOC statement. This is a woman. This is a cis woman. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is a cis woman. While the statement is welcome, it's important to stand in solidarity with Iman, who has been subjected to the worst kinds of attacks. Okay, that's not bad. Never mind. I thought that yeah, fuck that piece of shit. Cowardly piece of shit. He's probably worried he's going to get sued for defamation, except his entire fucking platform is still running with this narrative, regardless of the fact that, you know, he deleted his own personal fucking tweets. Freak. Bitch ass. Ignore the tweet, but here's the full fight. Yeah, Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines is another perfect representation of this. Riley Gaines herself is brolic as shit. The very same transphobic people think she's a man. And her entire career is constantly pointing at fucking cis women and being like, they're probably men. They're probably trans. It's like, bro, look at your own damn self. You got brolic ass shoulders. Look at your goddamn fucking clavicles, dumb fuck. What are you doing running around calling cis women trans for being brolic? You fucking idiot. J.K. Rowling posted this shit too. I woke up to this like unimaginable cruelty on the fucking timeline. That shit is so annoying, dude. Anyway, we're going to move on.
Well, good afternoon.
Okay, there's a big fucking prisoner swap that happened with Russia. We're going to be talking about that.
Afternoon.
I got to pee. Fuck.
And this is a very good afternoon. A very good afternoon. Today, we're bringing home Paul, Evan, Alsu, Vladimir. 3 American citizens and 1 American green card holder. All 4 have been imprisoned unjustly in Russia. Paul for nearly 6 years. Vladimir since 2022. Evan since March of 2023. And Alsu since October of 2023. Russian authorities arrested them, convicted them in show trials, and sentenced them to long prison terms with absolutely no legitimate reason whatsoever, none. Paul, a former Marine, was in Russia for a wedding. Evan, a journalist with a Russian, in Russia, was in Russia, signed by the Wall Street Journal. Alsu, also a journalist, was in Russia to see family. All 3 falsely accused of being spies. And Vladimir was a Russian citizen by birth and holds an American green card. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and was a pallbearer at my friend John McCain's funeral with me. He spoke out against Putin's regime. And for that, he was convicted of treason. And now, their brutal ordeal is over, and they're free. Moments ago, the families and I were able to speak to them on the telephone from the Oval Office. They're out of Russia. Earlier today, they were flown to Turkey, and soon they'll be wheels up on their way home to see their families. This is an incredible relief for all the family members gathered here. It's relief.
Let's go, Turkey mention. Also, Paul Whelan, 100p was a spy, and not even a good one at that. So make no mistake on that. Like Evan Greer, perfectly valid, right? Like Evan Greer, perfectly valid to be released. Like it was ridiculous that he was even fucking arrested to begin with. Classic fucking Russian bullshit, okay? Classic Russian government bullshit. Paul Whelan, on the other hand, straight up a spy. It is so funny that people were just like, oh, you don't understand. That man is a passport enthusiast, okay? That's why he had like 8 passports on him. Like, no, he was a spy. He was not even a good spy, for the record. Like, the fuck out of here, dude. Yeah, he was caught red-handed with defense intel and classified documents. He was like, oh, I'm just actually simply going to my friend's wedding, and we're enthusiasts of classified intelligence. Anyway. Yeah, but Evan, ridiculous. Evan was like a Brittany Griner type situation, straight up. Like he got locked away specifically for politics, right? Like they locked his ass up because he was a journalist reporting on the fucking news in Russia. Unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. Classic fucking bullshit. Okay? Didn't he buy a flash drive from an FSB agent? Yes.
Friends and colleagues all across the country who've been praying for this day for a long time. The deal that made this possible was a feat of diplomacy and friendship. Friendship. Multiple countries helped get this done. They joined the difficult, complex negotiations at my request, and I personally thank them all again. And I've thanked them personally.
The Paul Whelan, dude, honestly, the Paul Whelan story is so funny. Nah, bro, he was just going to a wedding and suddenly someone throw those things onto his lap. That's how things work in Russia. Like how you throw the top of the hour ad break in our face. Bro, I thought we were vibing. I thought you were making a funny joke. Why do you do this to me? Why must you do this to me? Lol, dude had a wholesome moment with Hasan and then just dashed him. It's fucked. It's fucked to do that. It's fucked to do that shit. Okay? Anyway, here's the 3-minute ad break now. You can avoid seeing those ads as long as you subscribe for $5 or for free. Bro went into it full chest too, thinking it was a joke. 10-10 get played, nerd. Yeah, I mean, it was funny. Not a fan of gender binary. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
Thank them again.
I'm pro-Israel. Don't kill me. Yeah. Let's get back to the story.
With Alexei Navalny, political opposition leader who died in Russia prison this year. Now they can live safely abroad and continue their work of advocating for democracy if they so choose. This deal would not have been made possible without our allies. Germany, Poland, Slovenia, Norway, and Turkey, they all stepped up and they stood with us. They stood with us. And they made bold and brave decisions. Released prisoners being held in their countries who are justifiably being held, and provided logistical support to get the Americans home. So for anyone who questions...
Masadayız. Masa biziz. Amına koyayım. Masa biziz. You see that? He said Turkey, bro. The world trembles at the mention, the mere mention of the word Slovenia? No. The word trembles at the mere thought of how much Turkey participated in this. Do you understand? He said it multiple times now. He said it multiple fucking times, bro. He said, Turkey, we couldn't have done it without you. I'll take it. I'll take it. That's right. That's the motherfucking leader of the free world, bro. Put some respect on it. Meanwhile, Israel's like, get Turkey out of NATO. Shut the fuck up, bitch. I don't hear your word. I don't hear your name being mentioned in this process. All I hear is Turkey, Turkey, Turkey. Put us back on the F-35 program. Fuck it, dude.
Allies matter. They do. They matter. And today is a powerful example of why it's vital to have friends in this world. Friends.
Unimaginably racist, ultra nationalist song, but it kind of goes hard. Nationalism is so fucking funny to me because it's like, bro, it's basically borderline furry adjacent, and you're talking about how the pan-Turkic race is like, the pan-Turkic race is so supreme that 40 Turks are worth the entirety of China, and it's just like, it's silly, you know what I mean? It's like watching the fucking Indian fascists like do workouts where they do like jump rope and shit. It has that same energy, even though they're, you know, aggressive, violent, awful in general, but okay. All right. There's a specific niche that understands what you're saying right now. Put it in terms of American Hawk, so I may enjoy it as well. Ultra nationalism, especially in a country like Turkey, is not something that I can explain to Americans because there's no like Americans are too invested in eating jalapeno poppers to have like a sense of hyper nationalistic sentiment. The average Turkish person will beat the shit out of you if you like desecrate the flag. It is illegal to do so. Like the average Turkish person, the most liberal fucking Turkish person. That's why I kind of understand where, you know, the leftist Israelis are coming from whenever they fucking talk. America is too global of a force, too dominant worldwide, and too invested in capitalism to have like a sense of nationalistic, like a sense of national identity. After all, look at this shit. Bro. You want to know a great example of this? Fucking Americans saying that like Simone Biles is trans. There is no world in which in Turkey, there is no world in which, or in any other country, where they would ever let you do that shit. If you came out and were like, oh, I'm going to do my own weird culture war thing, when your country is fucking medal winning, there is no world. They would beat the fuck out of you. They would literally, they'd be like, shut the fuck up. That's why you see the Algerian, like, look at the Algerian football club account. Like, that is a perfect demonstration of like America's lack of like real nationalistic sentiment. Like, it's just not even like, there's no world. Yeah, this is what many countries don't have things, right? Many countries don't have things. They don't have the nice things that Americans have and take for granted on a daily basis. So this is the one thing that they have, right? So the Olympics is pretty fucking important for them. So they would never allow in a million fucking years to let you disparage their gold medal winning athlete. Americans, on the other hand, are so invested in their own like minutia, their weird culture war issues, shit like that, that they literally will rip into their own fucking athletes. They'll talk about like how, oh, I can't believe fucking LeBron is the flag bearer. Like, that is a complete.
I want to thank everyone in my administration who helped make this happen. Our work did not start just on day one. It started before day one. During the transition, I instructed our national security team to dig into all the cases of hostages being wrongfully detained, which were inherently, well, we inherited them from the prior administration. I wanted to make sure we hit the ground running, and we did. As of today, my administration has brought home over 70 Americans who were wrongfully detained and held hostage abroad, many since before I took office. Additionally, I issued an executive order in 2022 authorizing penalties like sanctions and travel bans on those who hold American. Detained Americans around the world. Let me end where I began, with Paul, Evan, and also Vladimir and their families. They never gave up hope. We can't imagine what they've been through, all of you. Matter of fact, this lady right here, I think, was living in the Oval Office with us for a while. All kidding aside, can't imagine their joy.
I mean, fuck it, even if they're Israeli, actually. Like, bro, there's like a shit ton of American Israeli dual citizens that are still fucking apprehended. And this dumb fuck can't even put together a goddamn ceasefire and hostage release program because our unsinkable aircraft carrier in the Middle East has decided that they're going to be dog walking us in broad daylight publicly.
Right now. They're home. Tomorrow's a big day. The 13th birthday of Miriam. Miriam, where are you? Come here. You all know we have a tradition in the Biden family. We sing happy birthday on any birthday. You ready? All of you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Miriam. Happy birthday to you. Remember, no serious guys till you're 30. God love you. She's Alsu's daughter. Now she gets to celebrate with her mom. That's what this is all about. Families able to be together again, like they should have been all along. So I want to thank you again to everyone who did their part. In just a few hours, we'll welcome home our fellow Americans. We're looking forward to that. God willing, we're going to be out at Andrews and get that done. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And this is a good day.
What did you say to them on the phone, sir? What did you say when they answered the phone on the other side?
I said, welcome almost home.
Countries, these so-called abductor states, from simply taking more Americans in order to get more of their prisoners home. How do you end these perverse incentives, sir?
Well, we're advising people not to go certain places.
Bro, the American media is so insane. Come on, man. This is like this is a good thing, man. I said this with Brittany Griner. Like how fucking freak-like are you? You're literally staring at the hostage families and being like, hey, the president, you're just giving a perverse incentive for these countries to capture more American citizens because you will inevitably release, Russian prisoners at their behest. It's like, bro, their fucking families are right there, bro. Have some decency, dude. What the fuck? That's insane. Like, that's insane. It's a good thing. It is always objectively a good thing to release hostages, okay? What the fuck? You are one boring streamer, you. Good one.
Tell them what's at risk, what's at stake.
Mr. President, where do you enter these negotiations, and can you speak to the complexity of working with 6 countries to secure these releases?
Well, look,
Turkey made it
I'm not
easy.
going to take
Say
the
it.
time now, but I'll do this later in the
Say
week.
it. Turkey made that shit easy as hell.
I particularly own a great sense of gratitude to the Chancellor. The demands they were making of me required me to get some significant concessions from Germany, which they originally concluded they could not do because of the person in question. But everybody stepped up. Poland stepped up. Slovenia stepped up. Turkey stepped up.
Yep.
And it matters to have relationships. It really does.
Turkey
These
stepped
things
up.
matter. Pardon me?
Could this improve relations with Russia? Is there any avenue for that after this prisoner exchange deal?
Good question. Not a bad question, a good question. Why is that a good question? Because up until this moment, the posturing from our State Department has been no talks with Russia whatsoever. That's unacceptable. We can't even talk to them. You have to. That's it. You have to get together, China, Russia, Ukraine, and all of Ukraine's allies at the table in order to put together a ceasefire that will be acceptable by every party in an effort to avoid further death. That's it. And the American government has kept saying like, nah, we can't talk to them. 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 And it's actually been genuinely bad. They have to do that. So I think that's a good question.
As my sister might say, your lips to God's ears, man.
Did you ever speak with Vladimir Putin about this? Or would you be willing to speak with Putin now directly?
I don't need to speak with Putin. Anyway.
How did you weigh that decision?
Bro, you are the leader of the free world, dog. What are we talking about? Like, dude, Nixon's administration normalized relations with China. Like, every American president has at some point communicated with the USSR. What are we doing? Like, are you a fucking child? What is this? I hate this narrative, man. No, it's not Chad to be like, oh, I don't need to speak with him. No, it's lame as fuck, dude. You have to do diplomacy. You have to do diplomacy.
Letting somebody out who sounds like got away with murder.
I got home innocent people. Thank you. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Are you speaking with Erdogan or any of the leaders about this?
Say that again?
Are you speaking with President Erdogan or one of the leaders about this?
Yes, I've spoken to all the leaders about this.
What did you say about
And by the way, as a father, look, you heard me say this before. I mean it. My dad's a simple proposition. Family's the beginning, the middle, and the end. Blood of my blood, bone of my bone. I can think of nothing more consequential. I mean it sincerely. And having lost family, not a different way, and not knowing what's happening, their circumstance with their accident, with health, it matters.
Mr. President, what did Germany ask for in response for their cooperation?
Nothing.
President Biden.
What a chance this whole thing.
President Trump has said repeatedly that he could have gotten the hostages out without giving anything in exchange. What do you say to that? What do you say to President Trump now, former president?
Why didn't he do it when he was president?
Sir, what a chance.
Good line, actually. Russia would just make a ridiculous offer to show off how much the U.S. doesn't want peace is useless. Bro, what are you talking about, Chad McFart? Like, even if that's the case, the idea that we're not letting that happen is so insane. Like, oh man, okay, Chad McFart. I guess we should be getting fucking diplomacy lessons from Chad McFart. Like, what the fuck are you saying, brother? Anyway, objectively a good thing, genuinely a good thing. To do a release of political prisoners being held hostage, and even some fucking spies like Paul Whelan. You know, that's good shit. Trump is expected won't take a moment to praise the return of the hostages and says he suggests Biden got fleeced. Of course, he's going to say that. So when are they going to release the details of the prisoner swap with Russia? How many people do we get versus them? Are we also paying them cash? Are they giving us cash? Please withdraw that question because I'm sure the answer is no. Are we releasing murderers, killers, or thugs? Just curious. Oh, ew. He said just curious. Oh, God. Oh, God. Just curious because we never make good deals at anything, but especially hostage swaps. Our negotiators are always an embarrassment to us. I got back many hostages and gave the opposing country nothing and never any cash. To do so is a bad precedent for the future. That's the way it should be, or the situation will get worse and worse. They're extorting the United States of America and they're calling the trade complex. That's so nobody can figure out how bad it is.
This is an ABC News special report.
I'm Whit Johnson in New York.
Spies and one assassin. Krasikov was convicted by a German court in 2019, killing of Zelim Khan Tornike Kongoshvili, an ethnic Chechen of Georgian nationality, in a Berlin park. Oh, they did. They got Germany to fucking release actual straight up murderers, huh? What a historic prisoner swap means for Vladimir Putin's Russia. Damn. Okay, no. Damn. No way. I'm gonna. Damn.
Coming back on the air with breaking news, a multinational prisoner exchange involving the U.S. and Russia, one of the largest prisoner swaps since the end of the Cold War. We're talking about decades here. ABC News has learned former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan and Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich are being released. Just 2 weeks ago, Gershkovich was sentenced to 16 years in prison for espionage during what the U.S. called a sham trial. You'll remember Whelan was also convicted of spying, which he has strongly denied. He was arrested in December of 2018.
Yeah, that motherfucker was a spy. Like, that motherfucker was a spy, 100%. And not even a good one, too. He was just not even a good ass spy. He was a bad spy, bro. The conditions of his release, or the conditions of his capture, straight up bad spy. Like, that's a bad trade in general. Obviously, a lot of people are going to say, like, no, Brittany Griner can dunk. Like, she's actually a fucking pretty solid player overall in the WNBA. Whereas, like, obviously, in exchange for Brittany Griner, America had to release the Lord of War. But, like, technically in that situation, the Lord of War was just a dude who we captured for competing with us in terms of arms sales, like the Merchant of Death. Like, Victor Boot wasn't kidnapped for, like, doing shit that we deemed illegal. He was kidnapped for doing the same shit that we're doing, but, like, out competing us, right? So that was ultimately a good trade in general, I think. But in this situation, like, we're not even getting a good spy back. You know what I mean? We're getting, like, a bad spy. Evan, totally valid, totally just. You know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous that he was fucking kidnapped and was a political prisoner. Like, I'm not even talking about his, like, I don't know, skills in reporting or whatever. But, like, Paul Whelan is a bad spy. Like, he's not a good spy. He's a bad spy, and we're, like, releasing a fucking killer straight up like a hardcore. Ah! Like, look at that face. I'm just saying, like, probably not worth, but hey, whatever.
The U.S. has tried to include him in other prisoner swaps, including the release of WNBA star Brittany Griner, only to be rejected by Moscow. President Biden has made winning the release of detained Americans in Russia a top priority since taking office. And again, these details just coming in. Let's get right to ABC's chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce. We know it's a fluid situation, Mary, but what are you learning now?
Well, Whit, this is the largest and most complex prisoner exchange since the end of the Cold War. This has taken months of detailed, painstaking negotiations. The president himself deeply involved in these conversations. We are told that he has been monitoring this in near real time throughout this morning. I
love that they never talk about Paul Whelan's, like, background at all. Like, what did he do, bro? Because, like, with Evan Gershkovich, it's, like, pretty obvious what happened. Evan is a Wall Street Journal reporter, and they literally kidnapped him. They kidnapped him. Straight up. They kidnapped him for political reason. Paul Whelan, on the other hand, like, that was before the Ukraine stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was, pretty sure that was, like, way before the Ukraine stuff, actually.
I'm also told that the president this morning here in the Oval Office gathered the families of the Americans that are being released today. He wanted to give that news to them himself. They are, as you mentioned, of course, Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich. He has been held since March of 2023. He was just sentenced last month to 16 years in a penal colony in that secret trial that had absolutely no public proof. Also, former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan, he has been held for 5.5 years, also on similar espionage charges that the U.S. and
no, that's not similar espionage charges, bro. It was a spot. Yo, I'm sorry, dude. Like, oh God, the media is so fucking lame. Like, no, he was definitely a spy, bro. Come on. Bro has 6 passports, dude. He had 6 passports. He got nabbed literally purchasing a fucking USB key with classified intel from an FSB guy. What do you mean? He was just there. Fellas, don't you love going to Russia for a wedding that you're attending and you just get caught? You just get caught with a fucking USB that you try to purchase for cash? Russia said it caught James Bond on a spy mission. Okay, they literally, in reality, they abducted Mr. Bean on a holiday. Paul Whelan, a man of many passports. Yeah, he's also originally a Canadian. Whelan began visiting Russia while stationed in Iraq and returned frequently to tour the country. Paul Whelan even had a Russian social media account, VK, Russia's equivalent to Facebook. 2018, he was working in Novi, Michigan, as a director of global security for an automated parts supplier. But he said he returned to Moscow to help a friend with his wedding to a Russian woman. There are varying reports as to what happened on that fateful day on December 28, 2018. Many outstanding questions about the flash drive, Paul Whelan's Russian friends, and whether he will be allowed to serve his time in the U.S. Whelan told reporters of the espionage charge involved accusation that he was working for the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency when he obtained a flash drive from a friend containing the names of Russian border guards. In his defense, he said he thought the flash drive contained holiday photos and he hadn't yet looked at it when he was ambushed by Moscow security services in his hotel room. Who amongst us has not been caught in a situation like this when you're just like, oh, I just want this USB flash drive from my friend. Oops, it has classified intel. Copium. Russian narrative is completely true. No, you're right. A guy who's working in the private sector as a security analyst, former Marine, with 6 passports, who was visiting his friend's wedding in Russia, that literally had an interaction with the FSB agent with cash on hand, was actually, it's just a Russian narrative. I don't understand why people like you try to make a big deal about things that every human being likes to do. Passport collection and collecting flash drives. I think you guys are being really silly. You're inflating his passport count like your haters blow up your house value. Bro, he has an Irish citizenship, Canadian, American. He has like 3 other, doesn't he? How many passports does he have? A British one. Also, this is the other reason why I know he was a spy. Okay? So he had a report where he talked to the BBC where he said he felt he was left behind by the US government. They've basically abandoned me here, he told BBC by phone. I'm extremely concerned. With each case, my case is going to the back of the line. They've kind of just left me in the dust. And at this point, this juncture is very concerning. Yeah, dude, because you're a fucking spy and you got. He told the BBC that his days are occupied stitching work overalls and hats in a prison factory. Huh. You are throwing shade at this man who was just collecting items for his Mission Impossible cosplay. Yeah, I just think it's, silly to act like he wasn't a spy. America did it. They got the trade off. They popped off with the fucking trade. But come on now.
Whelan and Gershkovich.
It's also really funny where people accuse me of believing the Russian framing on a situation when I literally talked about Evan Gershkovich being unjustly prosecuted in a sham trial and being kidnapped as a political pawn and a political prisoner moments prior to having this conversation about Paul Whelan. And also on top of that, I talked about the Twitch streamer, the Russian Twitch streamer who was arrested and is currently serving a 5.5-year prison sentence, and how fucking ridiculous that is. So clearly, it doesn't make sense that I'm just abiding by, weirdly, the Russian narrative on some things and not on others. It can't be something else. It can't be the fact that I think it's a really fishy situation with Paul Whelan.
Which have all fiercely denied. Also being released, Alsu Kurmasheva. She's a Russian-American journalist who has been held for nearly a year. And Vladimir Kara-Murza. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning Washington Post columnist, a prominent Kremlin critic. We are told all 4 of them are now making their way back home. All told, 16 individuals held in Russia will be freed, and 8 individuals held by the U.S., Germany, Norway, Slovenia, and Poland will also be returned to Russia. Turkey also playing a logistical role here. This is the culmination, we are told, of many complex rounds of negotiations. This ultimately went up to the president having detailed negotiations himself, leader to leader. It became very clear several months ago that Russia was not going to be willing to engage in any kind of prisoner exchange without the release, excuse me one here as I read through my notes, without the release of Vadim Krasikov. He, of course, is a Russian operative, a convicted murderer, and he is being held, or was being held in...
Bro, he was an assassin. He was literally a straight up FSB hitman. That's it. That's what he was. The Kremlin narrative. Wait, what did the liberals think about that? Do they think he was also... Are the liberals coping on that and being like, no, he's actually unjustly prosecuted. He's not even a hitman?
Germany. That meant that the president had to get on the phone and actually reach out to the German chancellor. The president so involved, we are told, that he was actually making calls on this in the hour before he decided to drop out of the presidential race. And I do want to let you know one other update that was just handed to me here. The president is going to be coming before cameras in a little over 20 minutes at noon to deliver remarks on the freeing of the Americans detained in Russia.
All right, Mary Bruce, stand by for us. We know those details still coming in right now. And you mentioned Turkey. Let's go ahead. I believe we have a shot from the airport in Ankara. We don't have that anymore, but we know that intelligence agency there, officials were telling us that they played a coordinating role between the countries, and that likely that tarmac at the airport was a place where this prisoner swap was going to happen. Again, we had some pictures coming in. We're going to stay on top of that. Let's bring in Tom Sufi Burridge, who's been following the developments overseas. And Tom, Mary mentioned Vadim Krasikov. Of course, he was serving that life sentence in Germany for gunning down a Kremlin opponent in Berlin. That was back in 2019. Now, Putin himself, through a series of a number of interviews, had suggested that any prisoner swap needed to include him. What more are you learning?
Yeah, no, we know Vadim Krasikov was absolutely key to this deal taking place. Vladimir Putin saying so himself, and U.S. officials confirming that. Vadim Krasikov, as you say...